Now, this is a video I would not have made if this specific scenario did not happen to me twice. So forgive me if I'm in a bit of a ranting mood. I'm just a little annoyed. Well, annoyed might be strong, but I'm just a little bit like, are we serious? What the fuck's going on? So I have a bit of a bone to pick with the art community. Now, I love art. I think it's great. I do art from time to time. I think it's fun. I think it can be relaxing, even satisfying just to get the idea that's in your head down. I dabble in art. I do a lot of art. I like to draw characters. I draw different landscapes. I think it's fun. I have a good time. I love to paint. I'm having a real fun time doing character paintings recently. I love it. But I will say I haven't dabbled too much within digital art. It's just not something I've done, but I plan to. I think it could be very fun to try. But back to the matter at hand and my bone. I've dabbled. Since I do art, I have dabbled into the art community. But I will say I'm not very involved in it, so I don't know the ins and outs. But I do know that AI is just fucking shit up. AI really is just not good for artists. Like, it goes out, it analyzes millions of pieces of art that have been put out on the internet, and then when you put in a prompt, it slaps it back at you. So, it's technically all plagiarized, but also a weird space where now that AI is getting better, people aren't always commissioning artists for art, and even Disney apparently is using AI in some of their things, so artists aren't being commissioned or hired for as many things because AI is getting so out of control, and that's where I'm starting to take issue, and where I'm seeing artists starting to hustle more. And like, don't get me wrong, I respect the hustle. I see nothing wrong with hustling. I'm a bit of a hustler too, okay? There's nothing wrong with hustling, but there's a fine line between hustling and being deceptive and overbearing. And that's where I feel some artists are starting to cross a line. And that is a scenario I've had happen to me twice. And that is what has, as I said, inspired this whole rant. And I will be sharing these little messages that I have. I'm gonna block out the artist names because I don't think they necessarily did anything wrong, though I will point out a few things. But I'll keep that all private because, I feel weird sharing the artist that did this because I don't think they necessarily did something wrong. I have a bit of an issue. Now, I'm unsure how this is all going to show up on your screen because I need to figure out how I want to blur all this out, but I have up a chat pulled up. Now, I write fan fiction, so I have some fanfics up on AO3, and I got messages in the comments being like, hey, I really like your story, can we talk about this? Share a social so we can talk about this. And I was like, okay, that sounds fun. Feedback, talking about characters I love. Sounds great. Sounds dandy. So, of course, I plop it in. And then when it comes up, I see they have art on their page. And, it's like, okay, you're an artist. That sounds fun. Okay. And when we get into private messages, I'm like, hello, look at my art. And it's just, they're like, hello, look at my art. And I'm like, yeah, you have some nice art. And then it's just like, would you like a commission? Oh. And it's just like, that is not I was not expecting this. Here's the first one. This is one that I felt was much more respectful and just better. This is just one I felt like was better. I feel like this person went about their hustle a much more appropriate manner, despite not being very clear in the comments of my fanfic. Despite that, they were still much more respectful and in the messages. So they're, hello, hi, I looked at your page, you have some nice art because I wanted to be nice. I wanted to compliment. Yeah, thanks for your kind word. Appreciate you reaching out. How are you doing today? Pretty alright, just cleaning around the house. And then, oh yeah, you just gave me trauma. I also have to clean my room. See, it's a very nice flowing conversation so far. Sorry, always good to have a reminder before it gets too bad though. It is appreciated that, yeah, as an artist perspective, I have an idea that I would like to share with you. Can I illustrate you fair price that I can illustrate for you in fair prices? And then I'm like, I wasn't really expecting this. You caught me off guard, but I feel rude if I just immediately back out now. So I'm like, yeah, it depends on the idea. I already started on some traditional art. I'm already trying to seed in that, like, I don't really want this. You've caught me off guard. So I'm not sure and then, no worries, let me share, don't worry about that. I'm open to hearing the idea. And then this is all a message about, idea based on the fanfic. And it's a fun idea, doesn't really fit the vibe of our story, so I'll have to pass. And then, no worries, they immediately back off. But if you have any idea, I'm just like, it's a fun idea, it doesn't fit the vibe of the story, so I'll have to pass. And then they're very respectful, being like, okay, I'll back off, but I'm just saying, I'm here for you if you have any ideas, come to me. And I'm like, okay, that was nice. I appreciated the conversation. It didn't get too out of hand. It was all very respectful and simple, and I liked that. They hustled, but they weren't pushy. And a little bit deceptive, but, not pushy. I felt this was very chill. Now this next one though, it didn't go as well. It did not go as well, I will say that. So they're like, hey, I'm from person from AO3, and I'm like, I'm doing pretty good. About to help my dad lay down some flooring, and they're just like, good dear, please have a look at the profile for my artwork. And I'm like, yeah, you've got some good stuff. Looks like you have a lot of fun with action shots. And again, there was no indication in the comments on the fanfic that they wanted to do art for me, that they wanted to talk about art, that they wanted me to commission them to do art. They were just like, yeah, let's talk about your story. And I'm like, yeah, I love feedback. And they're like, good, let's talk. And like, I made it clear that I thought we were going to be talking about the story and feedback on the writing, when they knew full well that wasn't what they were going to do. And that is where I took up more issue with this person. The other person was a bit more vague. This person was, I feel, more clear that they wanted to talk about the story. And as you'll see, it gets a little bit not great as we go through here. And then, as you know, I read your story. I really loved it. I was thinking of illustrating a scene at fair prices. I believe you are interested in it as well. And I'm just like, where did you even get this idea? I've given no indication of that. Not in the comments on the story, and not in this chat so far. I've given no indication of that. And I'm like, it's a fun idea. I'm not super interested in the moment. And if I change my mind, I will certainly let you know. I felt I'd already been through this once before, and I was just like, again, really? And I was just like, trying to be nice, let it down easy, just being like, I don't really want to do this, because I feel like I'm getting roped into something I didn't ask for here. And then they're just like, is there any issue? Immediately, a little bit more pushy than the last one, but, so far, not too bad. And I'm just like, no, I prefer doing my own art most of the time, because I do. And if they had seen my profile on Instagram, they would have seen I do a little bit of art. I don't have a lot up there, only like 3 pictures, but they would have seen I do my own art as well. And no one can capture an image in your head quite like yourself, right? And then this is the message that really just kind of ticked me off. But if you describe me even a little, I can make excellent art. Can you give me only one chance? I surely amazed you with my art skills. And I'm just sitting there sucking my teeth, being like, this bitch. Like, that was probably a bit extreme of a reaction right then, but I was already kind of over this. It had happened before. This was the second time, and they were already being more pushy than the last person. I was just not here for it. So I was still trying to be respectful when I clapped back. I was like, okay, I'm trying to be nice, but could you be a little less cocky? You are good at art, no doubt, but not the best. Maybe I don't like your art style, or I just don't want art done. I said, no, I'm not interested in it right now. Let's leave it at that. If I change my mind, I will contact you. I thought, I was out there. And honestly, what really got me was I surely amazed you with my art skills. That's what really got me. I feel like no artist that genuinely is an artist and is doing art because they love it would ever say, I amazed you with my art. That just blew my mind. Because as an artist, I know there's always pieces of my art I'm critiquing, nitpicking, being like, I could have done that better. I feel like that didn't come out quite how I wanted. I feel like if you are genuinely a person who loves doing your art, you're never going to be 100% happy about it. You're never going to think, oh, I did this the best. Nobody could do this better than me. I'm sure everyone's amazed with what I've done. As an artist, you didn't do the best. There's always room for an improvement. Not everyone's going to like what you did because you have your own specific art style. And finally, they're like, no worries, when you just do let me know. So it got a lot nicer at the end, and I appreciate that. And I was just like, I'm glad we can end this amicably, because I felt like this was going to go bad. From this message, I thought it was going to go bad. I was bracing myself for a really horrible encounter, and I'm really glad it all just fizzled out and it was okay at the end. I'm really, really glad about that, because oh my god, I had so much anxiety. Like, I'm already an anxious person. I have anxiety just being like, should I send my friend a text? Like, ooh, what if they're busy? What if they're talking to somebody else? So I already have really bad anxiety, and this message right here just blew me off the rails, and I was just like, what the fuck do I do? What the fuck do I do? I was not having a good time. And now I'm going to diverge a little from the messages here. I'm gonna go back to the homepage, diverge from the messages a little bit. One thing I did notice about these two artists that both contacted me on the same story for me to commission art from them is they had a very similar art style. Like, I'd almost say it was the same. Like, legit, I was very suspicious. I was a little suspicious. I'm not trying to, be too implicating or point fingers, but it did throw off a little bit of alarm bells in my head because their art styles were so very, very similar. Like, I really want to say their art styles were the exact same. I'm not going to pull it up because that could expose these people, and like, I don't know the full thing that's going on here, so I'm just gonna ignore it. Because I could be blowing something out of proportions. Though I do think I'm valid in a couple of my critiques here, but I'm not gonna show it because I think that's overstepping a boundary. But there was like some My Hero Academia stuff that was looked very beginner. Well, not very beginner, but was obviously needed quite a bit of improvement. There was some skill there, some effort put in, but you can just tell when somebody's not the best at the art yet, where they're still getting the hang of it, still learning. And then there were some pieces that were done very beautifully, and that's what kind of tipped me off even more. It's like, the art styles are similar, but then I saw My Hero Academia stuff in the same, not quite up to par with some of the more like OC action shots that these two people did, and I was like, it tinkled something in my brain. Did I say tinkled? I don't think I meant tinkled. Like, tickled something in my brain. But yeah, so I'm suspicious. Something might be going on there. I'm a little bit suspicious that maybe some artists are making two accounts and trying to double promote their art onto fanfic writers and other people. Like, I do think this is kind of taking advantage of fanfic writers a little bit too, because you're putting these comments thinking that people are liking their story and, wanting to talk about it. You're making it seem like you want to talk about their story, but then you just rope them into trying to get them to commission art from you. I think this is a little bit mean to fanfic writers if this is what's happening. Like, my little brain is tinkling. No, why do I keep saying tinkling? I swear I don't have a piss kink. Tickling. Like, my brain's tickling me to think. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. As an artist, as a writer, as anyone who is just out there, or as somebody who maybe knows a bit more about, like, the art community than me, because I will admit, I perhaps am not the most invested in this community. I dabble, but I'm not entrenched. So I would really appreciate hearing your thoughts in the comments, and if you like ranting or other such videos, that's what I'm going to be doing on this channel. Leave a like. I greatly appreciate it. Here's me hustling a little bit in a nice way. Like, you don't have to, but like, I would appreciate it. And yeah, subscribe so you don't miss when I do more stuff. I think I'm going to be doing this once a week, posting on Saturdays. So yeah, support me if you want. If not, fuck off. I understand. I'm a little weird. Yeah, I'll catch you again. Maybe, if you want to stick around. Bye.